Howdy, this is Sailor the Piperman, Piper the Sailor Man. I'm doing this video, and I'm taking more of a serious note because I'm going to be talking about two types of curing. And one is flue cured tobacco and dark fired cured tobacco. Now, when you pick up a tin, oftentimes it'll tell you whether it's flue cured or it's dark cured tobacco. Now, for the beginner, he may not know what the difference is. So, I'm going to tell you, because that's going to determine what you like. You might try a tin or something and it's flue cured, but you don't know it's flue cured and you like it. And then you might try another type of tobacco that's a dark fired Kentucky, which means when you hear where it says Kentucky, means it's most likely fire cured in Western Kentucky. And currently they're using hydroponics. They're growing the tobacco seeds in water, and then they transplant it in soil. Why have they done that instead of directly to soil? Because right now, if you've been reading the U.S. Farmers Report, we're having a problem with topsoil. So for conservation in Western Kentucky, they do it that way. The Department of Agriculture has taken a notice of that and are trying to conserve the topsoil. Without topsoil, you can't grow anything. That's why California is having problems. A lot of regions in the United States are having problems. Missouri, I think, is also concerned about that. Places where in Wisconsin where tobacco is grown. It's just not only in Virginia. It's not only in North Carolina. Other places in the United States you can grow tobacco. You can grow burley. You can grow Connecticut. You grow the broadleaf in Connecticut. Shade. Wrappers that are used for cigars. Some tobaccos are cured and used for cigarettes. You're going to find burley is used in Connecticut is used to make cigarettes. But the process is a flue curing process and fire cure process. So here you go. I'm going to talk first about the flue curing process. And I had to write this down because my mind can't remember everything like I used to when I was a tobacconist. When you read on a tin of pipe tobacco, flue cured, the term flue cured tobacco refers to the type of curing barn. All tobacco has to be cured. Why? Because it would be too wet, too moist to light it up. So something has to be removed from the tobacco for that to happen. So what ends up happening, they flue cure it. Tobacco is referred to the type of curing barn used to dry, or the other word is cure, the tobacco leaves. Flue curing barns contain a chimney-like flue with an external fed tinderbox that allows the tobacco to dry out slowly without exposure to smoke. Basically, flue cured tobacco is not exposed to smoke nor fire. It's just put in these barns and allowed to age. They probably put some heat on it, but to dry it out, it has to be dried out. So when you read on the tin, flue cured tobacco, it's basically dried out. Okay? Now, when you read what does fire cured tobacco mean? This type of tobacco takes its name from the wood fire curing process. That's done most places, but it's done made in Western Kentucky. What they do is they harvest the tobacco, put it in barns, and this is what happens. This type of tobacco takes its name from the wood fire curing process that is used to give the finished tobacco product a rich flavor. When you put wood and fire and you simmer it underneath the tobacco, what rises? The smoke. The smoke then affects the tobacco and gives it a flavor. Just like when you barbecue a piece of meat, you know, if you use you can use cedar, you can use all types of wood in a barbecue pit and put the meat over it, and it's going to basically enhance a flavor on it. And also, like a pizza, they use charcoal, but they use wood oftentimes to make pizza, and it gives it a nice smoky flavor. Well, the same thing is done with fire cured, or they call it dark, because the leaves turn dark when you fire cure it. So dark fire cured Kentucky tobacco. When you read that, you know, first of all, it's coming from Kentucky. Second of all, you know the curing process that they use. So it is always necessary to cure raw tobacco after harvesting before it can be consumed. Tobacco curing is also known as color curing. So sometimes you're going to see that word color curing, because tobacco leaves are cured with the intention of changing their color and reducing their chlorophyll content. Chlorophyll is in it. That's got to be removed. Curing tobacco has always been a process necessary to prepare the leaf for the consumption, because in its raw, like I said earlier, in its raw, freshly picked state, the green tobacco leaf is too wet to ignite and light and smoke. So basically, flue cured is naturally left to dry in barns. Also, fire cured are put in barns. The difference is that they use wood, they use a simmering process, and the only ones that can really grow it really well are families and farmers. That process has been passed on from one generation to another generation to God knows how far back that goes. And the guys that have that down pat are usually farmers in Western Kentucky. I tend to like dark cure because when you taste it, the tobacco, and then the tobacco blender has to know what kind of blending he's going to do. So when am I going to use, I can say to myself when I blend, am I going to use flue cured, natural, like a regular cigar? It's usually flue cured, dried out, left to dry out, or fire cured. Usually that's done to Maduros. They put heat in it, not necessarily smoke, heat in it. It's left to dry out longer, like naturally, and so they age well. It's rich, but when you have when Maduro's left to age, and oftentimes it's put on the tremency, it dark, and some are using wood to heat up in the barns, intense heat to smoke. That's how you get that Maduro taste in cigars. The same thing happens with Burley, Virginia. You could dark fire cure to make the leaves dark by putting logs and simmering. That's a whole process. There's a video online. You can see how they actually do it. It's called dark fire tobacco. You can see it online. So that's a difference. It's going to be a difference in taste, basically, and depending on which process they use, flue cured usually used more for like cigarette and dark cigarette, making cigarettes, and dark cured, fire cured, which is they use fire, and it says Kentucky dark fire. That's because it says dark cured, fire cured Kentucky burley, which means that there's burley that comes from Western Kentucky, and the whole process they use is fire and to darken the leaves. Why is that so important? Because they're the best at it. That's why they put it on the label. You'll see a dark fire, Burley, Kentucky, dark fire, Virginia, and Burley. Why? Because it's going to be flavorful. You may not like a lot of flavor. Maybe you like more of a natural. And then on top of that, they put a certain topping on it, and in the blending process, so that changes the whole setup. Some people I like naturally dark cured Kentucky, and I look at the tins to see if this is dark cured. I know it's coming from. The whole process they're using is dark fire under the barns. They're allowing the smoke to come up in there. They're leaving it for a certain amount of time, so it's going to be tasteful, you know. So I like dark fire brands of pipe tobacco. Now I also like flue cured, which tends to be a little bit more mellow and not so intense, and is used in Virginia. So burley is usually your natural burley, but there's also dark fire burley. There's natural Virginia, but there's also Virginia tobacco that they put on the dark fire. So it's your choice, but you need to understand what you're smoking, and need to understand that you just can't take tobacco and smoke it. It's not going to happen. You know, that's why whether it's cigar or it's pipes, you have to cure it. You have to let it dry out. That's what basically it means. One is a natural drying process. The other is man-made, like dark fire cured tobacco. And these farmers way back knew about this, and they did it whether they knew what they were doing, or it's something that happened, maybe a barn burned or something like that, and then the leaves, and then they went ahead and smoked it to see what, and they found out, wow, this tastes good. I don't know how that process was way back in the 17 and 1800s, but whoever discovered that dark fire cure made a lot of money, because people really enjoy dark fire cured Kentucky burley pipe, and then with the topping on it, you take dark fire Kentucky burley, and then you add a little maple on it, or you add a little honey on it, or you add a little vanilla topping on it. And sometimes people don't like that, but if you do, it's going to change the whole complexity of that pipe tobacco. So this is, I hope this was helpful. This is Piper the Sailor Man, Sailor the Piper Man, showing you the difference between flue cured, when you read it on the tin, and dark fire cured Kentucky means it's put on the fire. One, the flue cured, smoke cannot touch it. It cannot be considered flue cured if smoke is upon that leaf. Dark cured, you need the smoke, you need the fire. So this is Sailor the Piper Man, Piper the Sailor Man, once again coming to you late night. I don't know why I got into this, but I know a couple of people that are young smokers, and they want to enhance their palate, so they need to know the difference between flue cured and dark cured. So long.